Okay, the first thing we're going to look at today, we're going to look at the bell work that you should have worked on, and that was on things we were working on yesterday, which was rewriting into standard form. So hopefully this was making sense to you today. So if we look at number 1 and we are wondering how we can get that in standard form, that means our x's and y's have to be on the same side. So on this first one, I would add 3x to both sides, and what I'd be left with is 3x plus y is equal to a 4. On the next one, we'd be thinking about how I can get the negative 8 to the other side. So that would be, I would add 8x to both sides. So I got 8x plus a y is equal to a 7. And then on the next one, if I want to get the 1/2 to the other side, I'm going to minus a 1/2 x from both sides. And you'd have a negative 1/2 x plus y is equal to a negative 6. And then the last thing that we would have had to have done is we would have had to have gotten rid of the fraction. So if you remember from yesterday, how we were doing that was multiplying by the denominator, which in this case is a 2. So when I do that, the 2 cancels out, and I'm left with a negative 1x plus 2 times the y would be 2y, and 2 times the negative 6 would be a negative 12. So you should add negative 1x plus 2y is equal to a negative 12. Okay, on the bottom half of the bell work, you were working with going from point slope form into standard form, and if you remember from yesterday, we would have first got it into slope intercept form. So we would have distributed the 2, and you'd have 2x minus 10 on that side, and then we would add a 4 to get it in the slope intercept form, and I'd have y is equal to 2x minus 6. And then I'd minus 2x from both sides, and you'd have a negative 2x plus a y is equal to a negative 6. Okay, on the next one, first thing we do, we start out by distributing the negative 3, and you get negative 3x plus a 6. So you got y plus 8 equals a negative 3x plus 6. I would minus the 8, and I'd get y is equal to a negative 3x minus 2. I would then add 3x to both sides, and you get 3x plus y is equal to a negative 2. Okay, so that would have been the skills we were working on yesterday. Today we're going to continue on, and today we're going to be looking at determining if 2 lines are parallel or perpendicular. And for this, we should be looking at the yellow note sheet from today, and I'm going to do some problems, so please work along with me, and then these would be notes for you. Okay, so the first thing on our sheet, we have 2 lines, and the first thing we should know is that parallel lines, first of all, is what we're talking about, are 2 lines that never intersect. So if we look at these 2 lines here on the graph, these are 2 lines that never intersect. So first thing I want to look at is the slope of these 2 lines. So if I look at the top line and I look at the slope, we'd be going up 3 and over 2. If I looked at the bottom line and I looked at the slope there, I would also be going up 3 and over 2. So what we can say is that for parallel lines, slopes of parallel lines are the same. So make sure you write in on that sheet, slopes of parallel lines are the same. It will be critical to us tomorrow that we know that fact. And today on our assignment. Okay, so here's the next thing. Perpendicular lines is the next thing we look at. Perpendicular lines are lines that intersect at a 90-degree angle, or what we call a right angle. So if I were to look at these 2 lines, and again we're going to focus on slope. So if I looked at these 2 points and I did rise over run here, we would see that we go up 4 and over 2, which means our slope is 2, or 2 over a 1. If we looked at this other line and I took these 2 points, this time I go down 2 and I go over 4, or a negative 1/2. So what we focus on here, I got a negative 1/2. I got a positive 2 over 1. What do we notice about those? First of all, we would say opposite signs. And the other word we'd use would be reciprocals. They're flipped over. So slopes of perpendicular lines, the lines you have to fill in on your sheet would be, we say that they are opposite reciprocals. So opposite reciprocals, opposite sign and reciprocals of one another. So what is it going to look like today? What are we going to be doing? So the two big ideas. First of all, slopes of parallel lines are the same. Slopes of perpendicular lines are opposite reciprocals. So what are we going to do with that today? We're going to be determining whether lines are parallel or perpendicular. So all we have to do when we're given an equation, we have to determine the slope of each line. So the slope of the top line would be a 3, and the slope of the bottom line would be a 3. So if both slopes are the same, we say that these are parallel lines. Okay, for the next one, we got a slope of 3 over a2, and the other one is a slope of negative 2/3. And for this one, first of all, we got opposite signs, and they are reciprocals of one another. So they're opposite reciprocals, so these would be perpendicular. Okay, and again, hopefully we're working through these, and again, we can pause the video. If I'm going too fast as you work through them, please just pause the video. Okay, next one. Same process, and it's the same problem, so I should probably go to the next one. Here we are. Okay, so if we were to look at these two, the slope of this one is 7, so the slope is 7. The slope of the bottom one, remember the slope is with the x, so again the slope here is a 7. So these would once again, hopefully we would say, yes, these are parallel. Okay, for the next one, for the slope of the top one, it's 3 over a 5. Slope of the bottom one is a 5 over a 3. And would these be parallel or perpendicular? In this case, they are reciprocals, but they're not opposite signs. So these would be neither. Okay, for the next one, hopefully we can take a look and see about these on our own. So take a look at 5 and 6 on your own, pause the video, and then come back and we'll take a look. Okay, so the slope of the number 5, we should have found the slope here is a 2, which is the same thing as 2 over a 1. The slope of the bottom one is a negative 1/2. So the question becomes, are they opposite reciprocals or are they the same? They're obviously not the same, but in this case they are opposite reciprocals, so these two lines would be perpendicular. Okay, and the next one, if we look at the slope of the top one, the slope of the top one is 4/7. Slope of the bottom one is a negative 7/4. So what do we got going here? Once again, these are opposite reciprocals, so these would be perpendicular. Okay. Hopefully that's enough for you guys to be able to do the purple sheet today. Purple sheet, you have 10 problems where you're working through these types of problems on your own. So please go ahead and take a look at the purple sheet.